Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Remember Me Daily Readings for Lent. And without further ado, let me start by reading Thursday after the fourth Sunday in Lent. Here's the readings. Here we go. Bear with me, people. There is a well known phrase of St. Augustine's: God does not command what is impossible, except as commanding us to do all that we can towards it, and to ask that He will do in our aid the share of it that we cannot do. If you should have to work, to strive, to suffer, to die, even to die upon a cross, if God wills it, do not for a moment doubt that the power lies for you already in His hand, if He has not already placed it in yours. The grace to die, to suffer, to strive, to conquer. But I do not stop at asking you to expect only what is indispensable from God. Have you ever found God stopping short at what is absolutely necessary? He certainly might do so, and if he did, would still do what is just, holy, and adorable. But does he ever? He, has he ever done it with you? If ever he has, I will tell you when it was, in the day and the hour when your trust in him failed. David dares to say, with the with the perverse thou wilt be perverse. That is, towards him who comes to thee crookedly, thou wilt advance crookedly. How much the more then we might one say, with him who shuts his heart up from thee, thy heart will be shut up. And that every distrustful heart closes God's hand, except except then unwaveringly from God an abundance of grace. Sorry, let me read the last line because I read it wrong. Expect then unwaveringly from God an abundance of grace. Expect, not accept. Expect. In union with the perfect confidence and hope that the Holy and Blessed Virgin Mary placed in thee, I do hope, O Lord. So let's talk about this because I think maybe, these things, I feel like I'm repeating myself on things, but I think it's good to go over things multiple times to get it in your head. So let's start off with: God does not command what is impossible, except as commanding us to do all that we can towards it, and ask that He will do in our aid the share of it that we cannot do. So this is a quote by St. Augustine, and I wanted to go over the definition of pusillanimity. Pusillanimity, right? When I go over it, a smallness of soul which prompts one to shun virtuous actions, fear or spiritual weakness causing one to refrain from doing good. It is contrary to the virtue of hope. And to continue the quote, if you should have to work, to strive, to suffer, to die, even to die upon the cross, God wills it. Do not for a moment doubt that the power lies for you already in His hand. Um, and we have to remember that God believes in us more than we believe in Him. It may seem that God is giving us impossible tasks, heavy crosses, but remember that God only gives us the challenges that we can actually do. So we have to accept these things, like how the reading ends. We have to accept these things. And going over to the next line, have you found God stopping short at what was absolutely necessary? With him who shuts his heart up from thee, God, thy heart will be shut up. So we can't abandon God in the worst moments. And I know right now it's easy to talk about that because I'm not in danger right now. But we've all gone through things in our lives, and turning our ire towards God and thinking about abandoning Him, thinking about leaving His church, not a very good idea. Not a very good idea to do. We have to stay on the path and not abandon God, because when we abandon God, the only path for us is for hell, and we have to grow in grace. We have to strive. We have to prove ourselves to God every day, every hour, every minute, every second. We have to prove ourselves to God. Now, this might make Protestants uncomfortable because they don't like talking about proving their love for God, but it is proof. Love is sacrifice. That's what our Lord did for us. He sacrificed Himself for us, for our salvation, and in the same spirit, in our imitation of Christ, we have to do the same. We have to adopt that same spirit of sacrifice. Sometimes we sacrifice for our families, but first and foremost, we have to sacrifice for God. That means we have to sacrifice sometimes our happiness, sometimes our pride, sometimes worldly things. We have to sacrifice these things for greater good. And remember, each sacrifice that you make, God will give you rewards 100-fold. Remember, God is a loving God. God's just, and God will overpay. God always overpays for the good works that you do in His name and for Him. So remember that when times are tough. I see a lot of stuff, and I know personal stories of people who, they had good intentions, but I think they fell into despair. Either that or they had pusillanimity. They were weak in the soul, and that ultimately left them, made them leave the church, leave God, abandon God, and accept sin in their lives. And the sad thing about that is that sin really deformed them and turned them into something that they're really not, really like not supposed to be. And it's sad to see. But again, we have to accept our crosses. We have to not run away from the opportunities of grace that God can give us, because like I said before, right, every good Catholic, right, and I'll say it again with sincerity, with seriousness, I'll get closer to you. every every Catholic, ugh, hold on, anyway, every Catholic every Catholic is going to meet his Calvary. Let me back up a bit. Every Catholic is eventually going to meet their Calvary, whatever that may be, right? For a Catholic, it's to understand that life sucks, right? Life definitely sucks. We are not made for this world, because the only way we could be of this world is if we choose sin. So when we choose the right path to punish us, the world is going to make us suffer. This world's imperfect. Sometimes because of the fall of man, we have imperfect bodies. We get sickness. Sometimes we deal with things that we brought on ourselves, like concupiscence. Most of the time, every person, because of the fall, has concupiscence, but we make it even higher, and we make it harder for ourselves than it already is. But we have to strive against that. We have to fight against it. We have to choose God. We have to pick up our cross, and we have to follow. We have to take that cross all the way. Follow Christ to Calvary. When you follow Christ, all you do is you go to Calvary. And the question is whether you're gonna die on that hill or not, right? But remember, don't give up on God, and understand that this world treated Our Lady and our Lord the most terrible way imaginable. So, and you're no better than them. You're not even close to their dignity. So, there's no reason for you to want to be living on easy street. But that being said, I hope you guys the Lent's going pretty well. We're almost done. Please pray for me, and as I'll pray for you. And until the next episode, take care and God bless.